I'm often on Facebook. I don't know why it's such a hot topic right now, but everybody seems to think, oh, if I just opened up this food truck, it'd be so easy. And, there's a huge demand for it. You read the comments and everyone's like, oh, yeah, you should park it over here and over here. You'd do great. But you were saying it's not so easy.
No, it is so complicated, guys. I hate to crush people's dreams when they come to meet with me, but I usually have to when it comes to the food truck side.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, Lauren, thank you so much for being here. You are the executive director of the Dalton Innovation Accelerator.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. So, who came up with this idea?
Yeah, so this started several years ago with a group of entrepreneurs in the community, Bob Caperton with Barrett Properties, as well as Stacy Roach with Inventure IT. They thought that, hey, our community has a lot of great entrepreneurs and we want to see more small businesses here. How do we make that happen?
So, somebody has an idea, they got a product or maybe even a service that they want to get out there. They come to you guys, what sort of assistance are you providing these people?
Yeah, so whether you are starting a business and you just have an idea for a product or a service that you feel like needs to be provided in the community, or if you've even been, operating a business for 20 plus years, we can help you. But what we really look at is where are you at as an entrepreneur and where are the needs for you? So most people that start a business didn't go to school for an entrepreneurship degree or even a business degree.
Right.
So they have knowledge gaps there. And so it kind of starts with an assessment of, okay, where are you at with marketing? What is your understanding of accounting? Where are you operationally? And then filling in those gaps through our programming.
And I don't know if this is something you could speak on, the folks that you're working with right now, are they businesses that are up and going that people are aware of, or is it still kind of starting?
So they're just starting. So most folks probably don't know who they are yet, but they will.
Yeah,
Yes.
Absolutely.
I was going to ask, is there any businesses that have been established through this and are operating in Dalton right now?
So none that have gone through the incubation program.
Okay.
So the incubation program, I actually was hired almost 18 months ago.
Okay.
So we actually have our first company going through right now. So next year you'll get to learn all about that company
very
and what they're
exciting.
doing. But we have worked with a lot of businesses around the community. Like I said, we work with existing businesses too, because they have needs. So if you are familiar with Peachy Clean, the scrubber that we all know and love here in Dalton, we've assisted them.
Awesome.
With actually introducing a new line that supports breast cancer. And then we've helped them with their marketing, connecting them to interns. Cafe Leon in downtown Dalton, the coffee shop. We've assisted them through some different resources. A lot of cool businesses that we've had an opportunity to work with.
And were you around whenever Trip Phillips, the glue situation, was that before your time?
That was before my time. So we also have something that we call Pitch Dia, and that is our pitch competition. We just had our third one this week, and he was actually involved in the very first one and won that. So I do know Trip. He actually was in attendance this week and actually introduced our K-12 winners to the crowd. So still very connected with the family. And that idea was just genius.
That was a wonderful idea. And for those who are watching who don't know, he made glue for Legos that was water soluble.
Yes.
A fantastic idea.
Yeah.
Because anybody who wants to build something, they've all had that frustration where maybe your clumsy little brother knocks it over and it just crumbles to pieces. And I actually learned a little bit of trivia about Mr. Phillips. Kaylee, one of our operations staff, that's her cousin.
Oh.
And Shark Tank. That's awesome. I never would have thought, little old town, Dalton, Georgia, on Shark Tank. Heck yeah. And got a deal.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people with great ideas and initiative here in this town, and I think they just need something like this to get it going.
Well, and we know that our K-12 students have really great ideas, and sorry for all the adults that are probably listening to this and not the students, but the students typically have better ideas, right? Because they haven't been told no.
Yeah.
No one has really stunted their creativity at this point, so they're just like, the sky's the limit. We should do this.
It's the beauty of youth.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, for sure. So we do spend quite a bit of time working with our K-12 students through the pitch competition. And then we have a summer camp that we do as well that's open and free to our students.
And is that K-12 as well?
So we focus on 5th through 8th graders,
Okay.
but we will be growing that to where we'll actually go down to kindergarten and eventually be addressing our high schoolers as well.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
Where's it at?
It's at the JA Discovery Center.
Okay.
Yeah, so we utilize that space. They're partners of ours, fantastic. And so we utilize that space to be able to have the students learn about entrepreneurship, design thinking. And this year we're actually adding a second level to it. So if a student did compete in Pitch Dia this year, they're going to go through like a simulation of starting their own business. They're going to design their own logos. They're going to have to hire employees. It's going to be really, really fun.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You kind of touched on this at the end of that, but like I'm just piecing it together in my head. If you're working with, K1, 2 type age group, like what does that instruction or teaching look like?
Yeah, so for that, it is just introducing them to entrepreneurship and what design thinking is. So one of the activities that we look at doing with our students is educating them on the history of entrepreneurship in this community. So we have this really fun breakout game where they have to learn about each of the giants, I would say, here, and they get codes to be able to open up this box, and it's just a really fun thing. But we primarily focus on just what is entrepreneurship, what traits do you have to have, how do you begin to come up with an idea and determine is it a good idea or not. Really the same thing adults struggle with as well when coming up with ideas.
So there's a kid who wants to be an entrepreneur and they don't know where to start. You mentioned these traits. What are some of those traits you would tell someone to think about?
Yeah, I would say creativity, hardworking. So you need to have a good work ethic. I've never spoken to an entrepreneur that doesn't work really, really hard. So that's important. I would say presentation skills. That's something that we work on with our students, making sure that they're comfortable being in front of an audience and speaking, because you've got to be able to sell yourself, your idea, your product, your service. The others I would say would probably be confidence, and then just being aware of what a market looks like and things, and trying to understand, what is it that I'm trying to do and who wants my product. And one of the things that I tell them is, who's your target market? Like, think through that. We need to create like personas around it. And the worst thing that anyone can tell me when I'm having this discussion with them is everybody. I'm like, the only person that gets to say that right now is probably Amazon.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only one.
No,
We all
I've
have
noticed
one.
that in people discussing entrepreneurship, regardless of age or even experience. Sometimes it's people so easily overlook. You don't have to go after everybody.
Yes.
You want it to be small. In fact, sometimes you want your niche to be incredibly small. Like that is
Yes.
often the key to success.
Yeah, and one of our winners for the K-12, our first place, it was Bow Bed, which is an accessory for bow hunters that helps with cushion and stabilization when they're holding it.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that was,
So
that's
specific.
a very small market,
Right.
but something that doesn't exist. These two young men hunt and love it, and we're like, hey, this isn't a product that's on the market. Why isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, a lot of those ideas that succeed are those things that serve that just niche, underserved audience there that just nobody ever thinks about. Because a lot of people just wanted this global appeal, and these things fall through the cracks. I think
They
it's
do.
a wonderful, wonderful thing to emphasize to these people.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, whenever, we're talking about the bow or the glue, is everyone that you guys help, is it like good old fashioned manufacturing, here's the product, then we sell it? Is there like maybe tech, businesses that you're helping out, or?
There's been, I know the community really wants to see more tech companies. Unfortunately, that's not what we see the most of. I don't think that we necessarily have the infrastructure yet for that from an education standpoint to see those types of individuals. For our applications that we received for Pitch Dia this year, from the adult side, we did have a couple of app developers, but they were not from our community. They were from others. So we do see some of that. Of course, Adventure IT is very involved in our program, and they're doing some really cool things on the southern part of the state. And we hope to be able to see more of that in the years to come. But right now, what we're seeing a lot of is service-based businesses, some product development, and then a lot of folks in this community want to start food and beverage businesses.
Yeah, we were talking about the food trucks out there.
Yes.
I want to touch on that because, like I told you, I'm often on Facebook. I don't know why it's such a hot topic right now, but everybody seems to think, oh, if I just opened up this food truck, it'd be so easy. And, there's a huge demand for it. You read the comments and everyone's like, oh, yeah, you should park it over here and over here. You'd do great. But you were saying it's not so easy.
No, it is so complicated, guys. I hate to crush people's dreams when they come to meet with me, but I usually have to when it comes to the food truck side.
Oh, wow.
Because,
Run them over with a food truck.
Yes. So if you want to start a food truck in the state of Georgia, you have to have something that's called a base of operation in order to do so. And this is state legislation, but it's enforced at the local level, so through our health department. But to do it, have a base operation, you have to have a facility. It cannot be your house that has water connection, that if you're going to have, depending on your menu, a lot of grease, you would need a grease trap. You would need to have sanitation and some other things. So there are basic requirements. But the thing is, if you put all this money into a base of operation and then also have to outfit a truck, at that point, it's well, should I just go ahead and have a physical location?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it seems to me that those laws may be designed in such a way that only established restaurants can make a food truck.
For sure.
Yeah.
A lot of communities want food trucks. We're seeing more of them. I know Cartersville actually has a food truck park now that they have operating, and I've seen some others that want to do it. But you have to work with your local community, with your health department, and then work within the rules that are here in the state. And quite honestly, when folks come to me and they're like, I want to start a food truck, I'm like, you might want to go to Tennessee.
Yeah.
And then come here. You can get a permit to operate here, but Tennessee may be your best bet for now.
No, I may be displaying some ignorance about how business works, but if somebody wants to start a food truck, is it in the realm of feasibility that they say, they approach an existing restaurant and say, hey, let me make a food truck for your business, and they just sort of take over that side of the business and it operates like that? Or is there already sort of laws or regulations against that sort of thing?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So right now, the way it works is if that person came on board as part of your restaurant, your existing restaurant, you would have to bring them on as an employee or a partner. So you would have to make sure legally that was done. Then there's no reason why they couldn't oversee the food truck piece of your business.
Yeah.
If you're just trying to start a food truck that is associated with a restaurant, you would not be able to do that because there's not allowed shared kitchen space. It's a big no-no.
Okay.
So all the food would have to be prepared, or at least somewhat prepped in the same space as what's served in the dining room?
Yeah, so you would have to, there's some different things around shared kitchen space. But if you were a employee that was overseeing the food truck, my understanding is that then you would be able to utilize that kitchen that exists and be able to do it. But if you were just trying to just be partnered with a restaurant, which I know some have tried to do in this community, because we have some restaurants that are closed on certain days, and they're like, well, can I just rent your kitchen on those days? And that's a no-no.
Oh, okay.
So are there any efforts being made to kind of do away with some of these barriers with the food truck?
So we're trying to figure it out. We've been meeting with our local health department. We've met with the mayor. We've actually been working very closely with Proof Incubator in Chattanooga. They have a shared kitchen space food incubator concept, and they actually have 3 or 4 restaurants and other businesses incubating at the same time. So that's a group that we're looking to bring some of their education and expertise here. But part of it is who's going to pay for it, quite honestly. The community wants it. They want to see more restaurants. I've not met one person that has said that they have every restaurant they want here.
Yeah.
So they certainly want it, but we do have to figure out who pays for it because it is very pricey to purchase the necessary equipment to be able to do this. And we're looking at a concept, a food incubator concept, but we have to have separate spaces for each restaurant or food-based business. It cannot be combined. Again, it can't be shared space.
Yeah.
So that means if we're going to buy a grease trap that's $50,000+ and we're going to have 10 spaces, that's 10 grease traps that we have to buy.
Wow.
So it adds up very quickly.
Just catch it in a bucket like Waffle House.
So now you mentioned that these restaurants can't have shared kitchen space, and you're also talking about this food incubator concept. Now, I'm a little hazy on what exactly that means. So there's all these these people who want to open their restaurants, and this food incubator is one building with many kitchens inside?
Yes.
Okay.
So think of it just like a business incubator. What usually happens is there's like kind of a co-working space, and then there are private offices. So this is almost like a private, quote unquote, office for each of those restaurants that has the necessary equipment that they have to have.
Little kitchen cubicle.
Yeah, little kitchen cubicle. That's what we should call it.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's cool.
Are there any other like common business ideas that you're approached with that are very difficult, similar to the food truck idea that, you got to shoot people down, with the difficulty of it?
Yeah, so I haven't had as many of these here in this community as I did in West Georgia when I was there. But home care businesses are actually very hard to start as well. There's a lot of regulation for a good reason around them, and you have to go through a certification and licensing process with the state of Georgia that can take years to go through. So I've assisted numerous businesses that have chosen that industry, and it took all of them many years to actually get started because there's a lot of hoops to jump through. And then if you want to accept insurance, that's like a whole nother thing. So yeah, I would say if anything in the healthcare area is also going to be a little bit of a challenge for you,
sure.
unless you're already a physician.
So if it involves putting something in someone else's body, probably very difficult.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Maybe not a pharmacy, though, from what I heard out
Yeah,
there.
pharmacy apparently not as hard to start as long as you're a licensed physician in this state. Sounds like you can do that pretty easily.
Now, there's a lot of young families in this area, and these days it's very hard to earn a living on a single income. So a lot of these days, both mom and dad are having to work.
Right.
And one of the things that I've heard from a lot of the moms that I know is that they won't have these ideas for businesses and such, but they've got toddlers that they've got to be taken care of, and it's very hard to be an entrepreneur and also take care of one or two little ones. Have you had any experience helping any successful or young moms achieve success with that kind of a barrier?
Yeah, so we've worked with some young moms before. We honestly have a business that's co-working at our space right now, and they have a newborn. And I tell them, bring the baby.
Yeah.
Does not bother me. I will bounce him and carry him around while they do what they need to, and I can work doing that. That does not bother me at all. Obviously, toddlers maybe we have to be a little bit more careful with because we don't want them, to get hurt, but also they usually have a bit more energy than a newborn does. But yeah, we try to be welcoming to all. Something that I really fought for when I was in Carrollton is we made sure that we had a space for mothers that were breastfeeding. Just simple things like that, making it easier for women to be able to care for their children while they're trying to work.
Yeah.
One thing that we're doing is we have a really cool rooftop space, and we do some events called Mingle on the Rooftop where people can come and network and learn about small businesses in the community and tour. But we're going to be adding some outdoor games and things so that way you can bring your kids to the networking and they can play while you're doing business.
How often is the rooftop networking?
So we generally do 4 or 5 of those a year. So we just had one, and our next one is going to be the second Tuesday of June. And that's usually from 5 to 6:30. We provide free alcohol. So that's a nice bonus.
That'll get them out there.
Yes. And usually we invite, 4 to 5 businesses to come and set up as a pop-up. And that's free promotion for them. So we usually try to have a retailer there, a food-based business, a nonprofit, a service business, and then have someone that is creating art or is in that kind of arena, whether it's a musician or painter, photographer.
Do you have anybody confirmed for the upcoming event?
No, I'm in the process of confirming those. I do have a few people that have reached out. I have a local author that's interested in coming promoting his book. I've got a photographer that's interested in showcasing what she can do, and then I've spoken with a few others. So last year we had a band come and play.
Wow.
We had Buff City Soaps come and give out samples and sell some of their products. Like I said, we've had Raspberry Row come and sell some of their goods. So a lot of different companies have participated. We try to have a really good mix each time.
Yeah.
And as far as attendees to these sorts of events go, who do you see is coming to these?
Yeah, so it's entrepreneurs. It's also just professionals in our community, and even some of our leaders that are supportive of DIA and the work that we're doing. They will attend them as well. I've seen the mayor there before.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
We're getting elite over here.
yeah. So it's a great thing to come to and really just be able to connect with folks. But my big thing in doing it, it's not the networking. It's to allow these businesses to promote themselves for free, because there's not a lot of free advertising.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Let's kind of circle back to pitch DIA.
Yeah.
So you just wrapped things up with this year's, but this is not something you do every year.
No, I would be very, very exhausted if we did this every year.
Imagine so.
Yes, I don't think most folks realize it when they see, this 3-hour event. They think, oh, this is easy to do. It takes 6 months to do those 3 hours there. So there's a lot of work that goes into it. What we kind of have planned to do is every 18 months or so is have one. Because of COVID, it's been a longer period of time since we had one. And so we were really excited to have it this week and hear ideas from, like I said, our K-12 students as well as our adults. So we heard 9 pitches on Tuesday night. Wow. And we had a K-12 winner, Bobed. They got $1,000, so they were super excited about that.
Awesome.
And then we had a seat cushion, a silicone seat cushion, that was pitched to us for the adult side, and they won. And so they'll get $3,500 in cash as seed money, and then they get a lot of different services as well. So they will begin to incubate at DIA. They're going to get a personal branding photography session with Bobby Joe Brooks, a local photographer here. They're going to get QuickBooks with Aaron Marcelli, and a bunch of other things. So we gave them a lot of really cool things that they need to be successful.
Yeah. And is this something that maybe investors show up to
Yes.
to add on to those prizes?
We actually had 5 judges, and they represent different investment opportunities. So they're the ones choosing the winners.
And who all is this open to? Is this is outside of our county, right? This is
open to anyone in the state. We prefer to stick to the state as we grow this. We honestly love having local ones. We would prefer that just because we're based here in Dalton.
Sure.
But we did receive 30 applications from the adult side this year. Some were actually from other countries, surprisingly enough.
Wow.
Yeah. I was surprised by that. And then we had a lot from other states, too. I actually had a couple of applicants from California because they haven't been able to go to pitch competitions and things because of COVID. And they were like, oh, we really want to do this. Yeah. I was like, are you going to come, though, if we do it? Like, is it worth you flying here? Just asking those questions.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a cool experience.
How would people like that stumble across you guys in the first place? I mean, are you really making an effort to get the message out that far?
I don't know that I'm working that hard to get it out to California. No, I think that was pure luck.
Yeah.
But we are very active on Instagram and Facebook. I run both of those accounts right now, and I'm out networking all the time. If someone invites me to do a podcast, I do it. If someone wants me to come talk to their civic club, I'll do it. So I try to be out in the public as much as possible to make sure people know that this service exists, and that's available to them, because there's a lot of free services. We do have to charge for some things, obviously, to keep our lights on, but we try to make it as affordable as possible for people.
Wow.
And what do those costs actually look like if somebody comes to you? I want some help. I got this awesome idea.
Yeah, so if they're just interested in co-working, so this is professionals, even entrepreneurs around the community that just need another place to work. Maybe they have kids or pets at home and they're like, this isn't working. I need to go somewhere that's a little quieter. They can pay as low as $29 a month to be able to access our space.
Oh, wow.
If they are in our incubation program, they're going to pay about $200 a month, and that's going to get them a dedicated desk of their own and all of the services that I was talking about earlier.
Wow.
And then if a business came to us and was like, hey, we just need help looking through our social media to, develop content ideas, we could do that for $29 an hour. If they needed help with revamping a piece of their website, we could teach them how to do it, again, $29 an hour. So very affordable.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like much at all.
No.
I was expecting much more.
No.
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned things like coming up with content ideas and such, and I saw on your website this content creator studio that you've got announced there. Tell me a little bit about that, because having this, content in this day and age is very important. And I don't think I see any successful business out there that doesn't have some sort of, video presence out there on TikTok or Instagram or what have you. So
Yeah, I agree. So we have a content creation studio. We were able to do that thanks to the Community Foundation here. They provided funds for us to do that through a grant. And so we bought podcasting, photography, and videography equipment and have it in our space. So we have a little studio that people can rent out for $10 an hour, or if they're a member, that's included in their membership.
Wow.
And so they just reserve that. They can even check out the equipment if they want to.
Okay.
They just have to do a little bit of training before they can take it out of the building.
Right.
But yeah, so we've got a lot of nonprofits that use our space for podcasting. And then we've had some small businesses come in and take photos of new products and things. So yeah, that's been a great addition, and we're just trying to eliminate a barrier that exists.
Yeah, that's a huge barrier, I think, these days, because there's just a huge need, and people don't have the access to, or they do now, but previously didn't have access to this equipment and such. So that's really wonderful. Now, do you offer any sort of coaching when it comes to creating this content?
Yes, so I can provide assistance. So I'm actually certified in photography, so I can work with them on that, just understanding how to use the camera. And then for the podcasting, we have the Accelerator, which is our podcast where we interview entrepreneurs and get their story. So we can kind of teach them how to get going on that. I'm by no means a professional on that, so I'll just get you started. But we've got some great contacts in the community that can assist them. And like I said, we partner with Dalton State College, and they've got great students that can intern and help them develop that content.
Wow.
Yeah, something I've noticed too, as that barrier is kind of coming down with the cost of, say, shooting an ad or commercial or something, I think also going up at the same time is you now have to be really creative with your ads, because there are just so many out there now. You know, you're scrolling and scrolling. And I bring this up because yesterday I was on Instagram, and I stopped and started watching this ad for, I forget what the product was called, but it was like basically a Tide Pod, just a different brand. But the commercial was so captivating, I could not stop watching it. It was actually funny, not like traditionally commercial funny. It was actually funny. And then I'm looking through the comments, and everybody's like, man, this ad is so good. I have no interest in, buying something like this, but now I do. And so to have that barrier kind of come down and have the coaching, I think that's awesome. It's so critical.
Yeah, we enjoy being able to work with them to develop content, because that is one of the number one things we get questions about is, I've run out of ideas, or I don't know how to develop it. Or, another thing we get a lot of is, how do I schedule posts for Facebook and Instagram? And we can walk them through how to do that.
Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you feel like people need to be more aware of?
Yeah, the one thing I would mention is that we do work with nonprofits as well. So we actually have a program called Thrive. Again, thanks to the Community Foundation, we're able to do this. We're going to be reworking it a little bit this year, but it's a fall program that allows folks that are involved in nonprofits, whether they're executive directors, they're board members, they're volunteers, they get to come and learn how to operate the nonprofit successfully and more like a business. Because that's where we see nonprofits make a mistake, is they think of themselves in a different category, but you still are operating a business at the end of the day.
Right.
So there are steps that you need to take to ensure that you're protecting the assets, that you're actually fulfilling your mission, and making sure everyone's getting something out of it. So we work with them as well.
Well, Lauren, I think we've covered it pretty much. It sounds like you guys are doing some awesome stuff over at the DIA, and look forward to seeing what awesome entrepreneurs kind of get launched from you guys, what you guys have going on. Carl, you got anything?
Yeah, I was just saying, talking about Pitch DIA one more time. Say somebody hears this podcast or they hear you talking about it, and whether it's 18 months or 2 years from now, they want to go on the next one. What would you say for them to start doing right now to make sure that they're prepared?
Yeah, I would tell them contact me immediately. So that way we can start helping you with your pitch. We can start to help you write a business plan, to develop financial projections. That's something a lot of businesses really struggle with, is the projection side of it. We want to get you ready to get in front of a large crowd and to meet investors as well. So there's a lot of things that take place to be able to do that. And so if you know now that's what you want to do, please pick up the phone and call me. You can also follow us on social media at PitchDia.
At PhD. And what's that phone number?
Honestly, that's a good question that I don't have an answer to.
Google will help
look.
us, though.
Yes, Google will help you. Just look it up. I'm terrible with phone numbers, as most of us are, I think, these days.
We will put it on the screen.
I'll find it.
Perfect.
No, you said Instagram. Is that the best way to reach out other
Yeah,
than phone?
I would say Instagram and Facebook are the best way to just reach out via message, or you can go straight to our website, which is the DaltonInnovationAccelerator.com.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming by.
thanks.